Well, it's a very good afternoon to you. How viewers been says this is your news network, Zimai.com. Efforts for us to bring you a live stream and even other broadcasters as well to broadcast live the ongoing extraordinary summit in Luanda, Angola, have hit a snag because, and this is simply because of an order by some members of staff inside the summit. And these are staff members of the Sadc. We have been notified in the last 30 to 40 minutes. And our attempts to get and to bring our viewers, brothers and listeners and subscribers this coverage have failed at present. And we will attempt our level best to do this. And quickly here, we've made an update on all our portals over this summit. This is an extraordinary summit, and that is set to discuss two countries, the DRC, a crisis in the DRC, and then at the same time, a crisis in Zimbabwe that has just held elections in August, and developments over there. Our viewers, readers, and listeners, this is the bit that we have. We shall be giving you more. But for now, here is a quick analysis and also your reader feedback. We've put a banner also right at the top there that states inside a staff member inside the Sadc Summit has banned live streaming. We're trying to establish why on earth this has been done and who is behind this unSadc order. Okay, someone would have said unconstitutional order or unlawful order. Today we've just called it an unSadc order. Stay tuned for the updates. So, quickly, our viewers, readers, and listeners, here is your feedback. What is going on at the Sadc Summit? Two countries are being discussed. And I'm joined here this afternoon by a businessman who is no stranger to the Zimbabwe community, Mr. Mtuma Mawere. Mawere Maskati Kwamuri, good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon to you too and your listeners and viewers.
Thank you, sir. And I'm also joined by a journalist and contributor here. I'll just call him for now, Matapatira. Matapatira, right? Thank you very much. Yeah, I will just call you this for that for now, and you can introduce yourself later on. And quickly, people would like to know who on earth, Mr. Mawere, I think your computer is making noises. Maybe reduce the volume, please. So,
okay.
Yeah, these are WhatsApp messages that are coming through, and I think they're interfering with the broadcast.
So all right, let me just switch off just a little.
Please, yeah. So who on earth would want to block members of the public from accessing the live stream at the Sadc Summit? Who on earth would want to do this? I think that's going to be the questions that I'm going to be laying to you here. And let us not forget that about 20 or so years ago, excuse me, it was not 20 years, about 15 years ago, 2007 it was, when some white Zimbabwean farmers had won a case at the Sadc Tribunal in Namibia. There's only one man who we know by the name Emmerson Mnangagwa, who moved a motion to shut down the Sadc Tribunal. How many remember the Sadc Tribunal? It was a court, a referral court for all cases, regional cases, cases that have failed or where people feel that they need to appeal, when it was shut down under and by Emmerson Mnangagwa. We want to know who exactly is behind this shutting down, the banning of the stream, today. So quickly, Mr. Mawere, can you give us your feedback? What do you read in 1 minute?
Yeah, okay, no, I'm less concerned about the one who limits expression than the one who is responsible for limiting expression. If Sadc is having a summit, let them have it. And let us have our own summit. And let us proceed to focus on issues that are worth sharing. Because Sadc is a community of nation states, not of individuals, pedestrians like me and you. And this hype about Sadc having an extraordinary summit after 2017 is in itself an expose on the inability of Zimbabweans to take ownership and responsibility for the outcomes of the processes that they are subjected to, whether by way of a coup d'etat, by way of a post-coup d'etat election, by way of conduct that is inimical to the rule of law. It doesn't matter. If people have substituted the rule of law for rule by a man, then we have had a period of time for us to arrive on this day to worry about streaming.
Right. Mr. Mawere, you have talked here in, I think, in idioms. Right. Matapira, what are you hearing here? What can you make of this?
For now, all I can say is that I think a lot is happening and going on behind closed doors, of which I guess this live stream is all about knowing what's happening behind those closed doors. At the moment, we cannot really pick up what is really going on. Yeah.
But is this justifiable? Tell me, from your experience. I mean, over the time here, this is a regional meeting. This is not an MDC, a ZCC, or a ZANU-PF meeting. This is not a UPND or an ANC meeting. This is a regional meeting that is at the level of the of African Union. Okay, that is at the level of United Nations. We're talking here. This is a union of countries that number more than 400 million Southern African citizens. Why is it a secret? Is this normal? Educate me, please.
I think they saw it right to run it that way. Like you're saying, since it's a collective responsibility, I guess they have a reason why they have done it. So I think all we can do is to wait and find out, Kuti, what's really going on and what the cause of them banning my live streams was. Then we can then take it from there.
And just a bit of feedback here. Violet Moyo is saying, Simba, why shouldn't it be live? Why? Why? And Jotina Chishai says, I'm waiting for the updates. Mac Masawi says, Sadc is full of brood of vipers. There is no difference from the kings of Africa who sold our forefathers as slaves for their own benefit. Now they're acting as a secret society. Princess Ola alleges they've been given gold, Wapiwa gold. Anochida Chigora says, oh no, who did this? Well, they did it. Jenna Trichihota is saying it. Obviously, ZANU-PF leader. And the Judith Chakata says, Takamirira, tozoneta nemarwadze ke. Right. Tilani Mpofu, how you doing, brother? And Richard Makumaza, what do you have for us, Simba? Okay, so this is what we have. And Gift Makwinja says, Chamisa aenda were. I don't know kuti Chamisa aenda were. Ina nzikutombozewa kuti pakamira say. Gift Makwinja says, but is no itachete. And it's not itachete. No matter what. Zviri kutozoita chete. What are you reading, Zimbabwean? Right. So, what do you propose people should do, Mr. Mawere? What do you propose people should do? Because people can access Sadc, right? They can call Sadc, the Sadc offices. They can call the premises where the summit is happening, right? Help me. Right. I think Mr. Mawere has been cut, right? Or he's been muted. Mr. Mawere.
Yeah. Okay. No, as I said, my view is different from yours, and as it should be. My interest is that there's individuals. Sadc is not within our sphere of influence. Their extraordinary summit meeting is among member states, not individuals. The election in Zimbabwe is done and dusted, and now there is a new president called a new interim secretary general called Shabangu, who is post August 23rd. And for him to be recalling people, it means the election is over. You can't recall someone in transit or someone who is a subject of a dispute. So as far as we are concerned, in terms of electoral politics, Sadc has no jurisdiction or title to vary what is a reality in Zimbabwe. So this is a meeting of member states. If we accept that, whether it's streamed or not streamed, the result is the same. I don't know what is on the agenda, and I wouldn't want to know, but what can we discuss so that we raise awareness that the ultimate verdict must come from the jurisdiction and territory of Zimbabwe? What is at stake that some people would want to be streamed when this is just an extension of an earlier meeting that was adjourned? But Sadc's position on the elections was eloquently expressed by the president of Angola in his capacity as the chair of the Sadc community. So I'm not too sure from Simba. You wanted us to talk about streaming or no streaming, or Zimbabwe at the crossroads, which it has been since a long time ago.
Well, you see, at present, we don't have much detail. And I think here the news item for this afternoon is the summit. People want to know about the summit. Mr. Mawere.
Okay, so you want to be like a fly in the summit?
Yeah,
And
absolutely. We want to talk about what they are talking about. People want the actual meat of what is going on
uh,
today, this afternoon. And because people have waited here. People have waited not 2 days, not 3 days. People have waited for years, like you
what
said.
are they
This is the
waiting
first
for,
well,
Simba?
this is
What are
this
they
is the
what
first
are they waiting for? A
this is the first
conversation between a fly and meat?
Well, this is the
Yeah?
first extra, like you said, Mr. Mawet. This is the first extraordinary summit, okay, since 2017 that is discussing.
No,
Matter of fact, since
no, I'm saying
2013,
is what
that is
are your
really
what are your expectations from the summit? Maybe start there.
well. If you were to ask me, I want news. I want to know what these people are discussing on what they have. They've held Mnangagwa to account and how Sadc is treating the Zimbabwe situation vis-a-vis the security crisis in the DRC, because this is the very, very intention, the very reason why this
So
extraordinary summit was
you
put
are
together.
saying
So we want to get the
that the
real meat. We want to get
Zimbabwe
the real meat first.
you are saying the Zimbabwean situation merits a summit. Is that correct?
Say it again, sir.
That that the Zimbabwe situation is the cause of this summit. Is that correct?
Well, both Zimbabwe and the DRC. So there's a there's
No,
a
no.
there's a security
Let's
chaos going
split
on.
the area. Let's split it. There are two cases. Your interest is the Zimbabwean portion of this bicycle with two
Thank you
legs.
very much. Thank you very much. I've got very our people, our subscribers, little concern about what's happening in the DRC. They don't even know, perhaps they don't even care about what's happening in the DRC. They want to know what Sadc is going to say here. Sadc has got a report that their electoral
Oh, so
mission announced, and that yeah,
you you are saying that the Zimbabwean situation is an agenda item.
absolutely. Contrary to what the Zimbabwe side of media here has announced in the last 24 hours, when they were claiming that Zimbabwe is not at all on the agenda, Zimbabwe is actually on the agenda. That's why that's why it's called an
Yeah, and
extraordinary summit. Yeah.
no, and you are saying affirmatively that you have privileged information that Zimbabwe is on the agenda.
Well, absolutely. And I don't think it's really privileged information, Mr. Mawere. This is public information that Zimbabwe
No, I'm
is on
saying
the agenda.
your public information may be at variance to what the reality of the situation is. Do you accept that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can say that again. You can say that again. You could. It's very
Yeah, that
possible.
is
But that is why. So
Zimbabwe.
why ban the live streaming? Why on earth block live streaming? Who did this? Who did
No,
this? Who
I'm
are these
saying that
individuals who've done it?
if your assumptions are correct,
Yeah.
then you then go to the next step of asking the why.
Yes, absolutely.
But if your assumption is wrong, is why the next address of questioning?
You see, Mr. Mawere, whatever the case, even if Zimbabwe is not being discussed, even if Mr. Mnangagwa is not being discussed, people want to know. The 400 million citizens of this region want to know, and they have a right to know what their employees, these politicians who they elected, are discussing using their taxpayer money.
But is it okay to you that if Zimbabwe becomes the subject matter of Sadc extraordinary meeting, then a precedent has been set
absolutely.
Yeah. And nobody may want to live with that hangover.
You mean the other leaders, like the president of the country that where you live in, right? He's facing elections, Mr. Mawere, isn't he? In a few months' time.
Yeah, he doesn't want any Sadc. He says we have local institutions, and once they've finished, declared the winner, let us move on. So is it okay to you that Sadc itself they have stomached, they have grandfathered a coup d'etat, and they have embraced it with open arms since 2017 November?
Very, very possible.
So they may not have a locus to start saying something is wrong in Zimbabwe now.
Oh, you see, we had a discussion, and we're going to need to end with this briefly, because and then we can come back later on after an hour, so when we have detail. But we had a discussion with a solicitor, a lawyer, about 5 hours ago, and what he said was that, look, Simba, no matter what, you can call me CCC, you can call me that I am a whoever that you think I am here. The Sadc summit is being held when they have a report. And he said to me, because I also said to him, look, how do you separate yourself from Chamisa? Because you are a member of the civil society, you're critical of Mnangagwa. And he said to me, look, Simba, the report that was produced that damned the elections, that literally damned Mnangagwa's claim to presidency, is a report that Sadc itself prepared. So how on earth, number one, do you claim that I am pursuing a Chamisa agenda? Number two, how on earth do you claim that Sadc is not going to discuss their own report? And you know what? He repeated it, their own report. This is their own report. I-report yavo I. Vanogoramba sei kuikurukura. And zviro kwazvo zvinogona kunge zvitori the reason chikonzero tatadziso right now kuti tinzwe zvinhu zvavari kutaura. That's why they've made it difficult for people to access the live stream. Wilbert Mukori, one of our analysts, just joined us. Wilbert,
yeah, this is your assumption. Is that correct? As
well,
to
yeah,
the why.
we're basically analyzing right now the scenario.
Yeah,
But
so I'm saying let us be careful to create wrong expectations from a process that you are divorced from.
On the ground, right? I see. Let's hear from Wilbert Mukori. Wilbert,
Hello,
why don't we have the live stream? Why have the 400 million citizens of Sadc failed to access? Why have they been blocked from accessing the live stream, in your view, the live stream of this summit?
Well, I think personally, I think in this particular case, it will make sense that you would not want everything that Sadc talk about, to discuss, to be live streamed. Particularly as we expect in this case, they will be taking one of their own to task. So I think they will not want to humiliate him. So in this particular case, saying, okay, let's discuss it in private, and then we can make the announcement. I think I accept that. I expect that to happen. You really would not want to take one of your own to task in public. So I think that would be the reason for it. Let's face it, Simba. I mean, the very fact that the report was so damning and Mnangagwa still maintains that the elections were free, fair, and credible. That really defines how this discussion is going to take place. It's a confrontational. Mnangagwa is adamant the elections were free, fair, and credible. And yet those who were the observers are very clear. Those elections were flawed and illegitimate. They failed to meet Zimbabwe's own constitution, its own electoral laws, Sadc's principles and guidelines on democratic elections. So I think on that one, I would say probably the live streaming would have been very difficult in the circumstances.
But Wilbert, this is not our club. This is not you and I, okay, sitting over a beer. Then we're deciding, no, I don't want to embarrass my friend Simba. This is a situation where individuals are representing millions of people here, 400 million people, citizens, and these people, they are civil servants of their respective countries. Why would you want to save someone or the whatever it is that you're calling an embarrassment here? Why can't you? There's the issue of the DRC, for instance, right? Are you telling me that there's embarrassment also there about it? Wilbert, these individuals were elected by taxpayers. Why on earth would you talk about embarrassment where someone has been hired by the taxpayers? If a person feels embarrassed, then they should go home and herd cattle than people.
Yeah, but I think in the circumstances, Simba, I would agree with this suggestion that really is the primary purpose is to find a solution here. If I was one of the Sadc heads, would I be saying, no, we must discuss this in public? I would say no. Let's discuss it open and we'll be confronting the issue head on. This issue must be discussed. Sadc's own principles and guidelines on free, fair, and credible elections have not been upheld here. And therefore, then to be telling
and are those guidelines a private document? And Wilbert, and tell me something, Wilbert. Which regional meeting or regional or continental or world meeting have you ever seen that is done in private? Have you ever seen an African Union meeting being done in private where there's no live broadcast?
Well, I cannot comment on that because I haven't been following those. But I can say also that in this particular case, you cannot suggest that everything that is discussed in Zimbabwe's parliament, for instance, is open to the public to hear about it.
Everything is, Robert. There's no meeting that is off the record.
No, there are some
which ones? Well, that are off the record.
Yeah, I mean, if they're discussing issues of national security, for instance, only those who are expected could say, okay, they've got the right to hear, will know about it. Not everyone.
So what's of national security? What's of national security on an election that millions of people voted? Everything was in the public. Everything was on video. What's of national interest in, and also on talking about a report that was prepared by Sadc itself, a public report? What's there to hide? And Wilbert, where is the order? Can we see the order? There's no order. The statement to say, look, this is off the record. Where is it? Can we see it? So that we see the signature. So that was all the signature.
No, well, in this particular case, personally, I'm only giving you my personal opinion. If I was one of the Sadc heads of state, I would say yes. The election observer team's report should be made public. Yes, Sadc heads of state should be able to meet and discuss it. That meeting does not have necessarily to be public, but they have got to communicate to the rest of the Sadc region members and citizens what their decision is, because it affects Sadc. It's absolutely important. That is part and parcel of being transparent. But to say that every discussion you hold must be recorded and for public consumption, I would say no. There are some meetings that you can hold and which are considered of national security that will not be released. Even here in UK, you've got laws that says some things
hello, Simba.
For publication.
Simba, I think I should excuse myself because what you are discussing is beyond my comprehension.
Right. Okay. No, just Bob Samawere, you might as well go. You can join later on. Thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you. Yes, Hubert, yes.
Yeah, no, I think that point, although yes, of course, in this particular case, as a journalist, you've got every right to challenge why is it this meeting is being held in public, is not being allowed to be broadcast, streamlined live. But in this particular case, I think the Secretariat and Sadc Heads of State, they may have made the decision that no, it would not be appropriate to do so. And I can see the benefits of both sides. Yes, in the interest of greater public transparency, yes, you would want us to be able to actually zoom in and switch on and listen to the discussion. You know, but on the other hand, I don't think in terms of finding solution, that is absolutely necessary. No. I'm not part of the decision-making body, but in my view, you know, I would accept their decision. That is my position.
Well, thank you very much. Right. Rufairos is saying here, let me just read some comments and then we will come back later on. I can see here we've got nearly 400 people watching, but hear me, we will convene a bit at a later stage once we have more details. But quickly, let's just read your comments and feedback here. Are you happy with what has gone on here? Are you happy with how Sadc is handling the summit so far? Someone is saying, what if they're taking HH and his messenger Nevas Mumba? Why saying it Munangagwa who is taken to task? Okay, I don't understand what you mean there, Rufairo. What exactly do you mean there? And why do you say Mumba is a messenger? Okay, and then let's just get some more details here. Kulanis is saying, Rupert, where is the national security? Right. Blessed Mazala Hedwa says, what's the reason yekutaura security vanhu vachitorwa vachirohwa nekubaiwa ma-injection asingazwisisike? National security, is it only for politicians or for the people of this Sadc yatobhadhara mari iri kufanirwa kuvaka nyika naMnangagwa? Wow. Okay, Blessed is saying that Blessed is saying, yeah, panenge patobhadhara big. Wilbert, we might need to shut. What can you say about that? Do you think there's a possibility that EG can compromise?
Well, I think Zimbabweans should accept and applaud Sadc for refusing to sweep this damning report on the elections under the carpet. I think Sadc must be applauded for that. And we know that there are some Sadc countries, like South Africa in particular, who had already made up their mind, in fact, in November last year, that they wanted no regime change in Zimbabwe. So I think South Africa, what they would have wanted is the Sadc election observer team to come up with a wishy-washy report saying, well, the elections were substantially free, fair, and credible. And South Africa would have jumped on that and granted ZANU-PF political legitimacy. The report said exactly the opposite. And it is a damning report. And I think Sadc, I'm sure there are some leaders who would have dwelled on them to sweep the report under the carpet. And those Sadc
Hubert, don't you think there's a possibility? Someone was saying here that maybe they're going to exclude Zimbabwe. I mean, look, there was also publications inside the Zimbabwe state media that said that they might not. Excuse me. I'm going to try and be as clear as I can here. So what I'm saying is publications in the state media were saying that they might not, that Zimbabwe is not on the agenda. I don't know if you saw those publications inside the Zimbabwe state media. And I also had a solicitor, a lawyer, a few hours ago, saying, look, Zimbabwe, what you're reading from the state media is misleading, because why on earth would Sadc fail to discuss its own report? So where do you stand on that word? Don't you think that Mnangagwa could have his way where the report is not discussed at all, where Zimbabwe is not even discussed as published?
Well, if Mnangagwa had his way, this report would have been killed even before it was even read out. Yeah. And in this particular case, the preliminary report was read out, and Sadc did not take those who were responsible for the report to task on that. And then the final report, unedited, critical as the preliminary report, came out. I'm sure Mnangagwa must have been jumping with fury at that. But nonetheless, the report did come out. In the AU report, let's not forget here that it's not only Sadc that came with an election report that was critical. The AU report was also critical. So in this particular case, whether Sadc, whether Mnangagwa liked it or not, the preliminary report came out, the final report came out, and we were told there was not going to be any meeting of Sadc, extraordinary summit to discuss it. We were told that there was. And we are seeing that part of that process happening today. So I think some of these reports is just somebody trying to mislead people. You know, we have heard from many sources that Zimbabwe is on the agenda today. And I believe those sources. And the fact that Zimbabwe is on the agenda, it is to discuss that damning report of the election. So if it's not true, we'll know. It's now past 4 in Zimbabwe. So the meeting cannot carry on forever. You know, in an hour, 2 hours time, we'll know. They will have to come up and give a press conference on what the Sadc heads of state were discussing. That is, again, where if they were to all leave Rwanda and leave for their respective countries without some form of statement, that's when you as a journalist will have every cause to say, well, Sadc represents people within the region. They cannot hold a meeting and not say anything about what was discussed. You know, we, the people of Sadc, have got every right to know. And I think as a Zimbabwean, we expected Zimbabwe to be discussed. And we are waiting to hear that. And I think many people in Zimbabwe would be absolutely furious if there was no statement saying what was being discussed. I think the statement will come out, and we'll finally know. It's just another hour or two whether or not Zimbabwe was on the agenda. So I wouldn't be too concerned about that one, Zimbabwe.
Right. Okay, but people don't want to see just a statement. People want to see their taxpayer employees, okay, but they want to see their civil servants speaking. They don't want to read. They actually want to see, they want to watch. I don't know if this is the case. Chief, so say you've just come in. Chief. Okay, Chief, are you there? Okay, I think he is, maybe he is muted. It looks like he's muted. Chief. Okay, I think he's muted. Maybe perhaps he's busy here. Right. We have here Kulani Sibanda is saying, me as a citizen, I also say that the live streaming should have been public. These people lie to us a lot. We just need transparency. Are the people considered in all this? Don't let democracy be quashed. Okay, so Kulani Sibanda is saying, look, the live streaming must be public. Why have you made it private? This is what is private. Zvokuti munenge muchasenge muri kunwa doro ikoko kuti muri kuita ka private discussion kenyu panapa. Isusu takakuapointa ikoko kuti munoti tinisu tiri kubhadharai. Okay. So quickly, obviously, he says, Wilbert, what do you propose is the way forward out of this for people? Do you think that people should write or should phone the Sadc offices? How do you think people should get round about this? We're going to be shutting with this.
Well, I think I believe that let's give the Sadc heads of state the opportunity to come up, to have their meeting, and then come up with a press statement on what the meeting was all about.
Some people feel offended by that movement. How can you say their meeting? It's not their meeting. It's our meeting.
Well, I think it's more.
These are not private individuals. These are representatives of 400 million people.
Yes, I think let's look at what they discussed. I think to me, what matters most is that they have had this Sadc heads of state meeting, and as far as I know, Zimbabwe's election, flawed elections, is on the agenda. That is positive, and I'm hoping that at the end of the day, they will come up with a clear position that the elections in Zimbabwe were flawed. And therefore, then, this ZANU-PF regime is illegitimate. That, to me, would be what I would want to see. The fact that they discussed this with Mnangagwa in private, and we're not able to stream it live. To me, yes, I think I can understand it from you as a journalist point of view that you may have wanted it. I would say, to me, the most important thing is at the end of the day, we get a firm decision from Sadc that Sadc, as a regional body, is standing firm on those principles and guidelines on free, fair, and democratic elections that were agreed by the Sadc. All the Sadc nations agreed to them are going to be enforced, and they are important. And I think every Sadc citizen out there would be very pleased if that was the position, because they will know from now on that they can expect that if in their own country, elections are not held, are not free, fair, and credible, they will expect Sadc to step in and say, no, we want free, fair, and credible elections. This is what we have agreed. I think that, to me, it would be more important.
Wow, Wilbert, we're going to need to cut quickly, obviously, when it says this is our brief live stream. I'm sorry that people would like us to continue on this discussion, but we will do press the subscribe, press the bell, because when we go live, we're not going to announce. We will be going live as soon as we have a feed from inside the meeting, and also we can relate everything that we can from the extraordinary summit that has been discussed, the security situation in the DRC, and also the just ended elections in Zimbabwe, the crisis that is in Zimbabwe, all this thing at a time when Mr. Emerson Mnangagwa and his party and his government are saying there is no crisis in Zimbabwe. They're also claiming that Zimbabwe is not on the agenda. But this is that has run out the agenda. Wilbert, thank you so much. We need to cut, folks. Do subscribe back, folks.
Okay, thanks very much, Simba.
This is